Welcome to part 2 of this crochet turtle tutorial. If you haven't already watched part 1, then make sure to go do that, but otherwise let's get straight into it. So to begin, we are going to make the fins. So you're going to grab your green yarn and we're going to start off by doing 6 single crochets into the magic ring. Now for round 2, you're going to do 6 increases. Now for round 3, we're going to do single crochet increase times by 6, which will take us up to 18 stitches. For round 4, we're going to do 2 single crochets and an increase times by 6, which will take us up to 24 stitches. Now we are going to do 3 single crochets and an increase times by 6, which will take us up to 30 stitches. So once you've completed that round, we can take the stitch marker out. And now what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half and we're going to single crochet along the top, connecting the 2 halves. So first we're going to put our hook into the following stitch and then we're going to fold it in half and we're going to go into the stitch on the other side as well. So just like this. So we're in 2 stitches right now, the next stitch and the one on the opposite side. And we're just going to single crochet through both those stitches at once. So that's what it will look like. Now we're going to go into the next stitch and then into the next stitch on the opposite side. And we're going to single crochet through both of those. And we're going to keep doing that along the top. So we're single crocheting into both stitches at once. And we'll go all the way along the top, right up until the end. So once you've gone all the way to the end, we are now going to leave a bit of a tail for sewing it onto the body. So just about this much. And we're going to pull through to finish off. Now you're going to need to make 3 more of these so that we have 4 fins in total. So go ahead and make 3 more fins. So once you have made 4, we're going to put those aside and move on to the tail. So you're going to grab your green yarn once again, and we're going to begin by doing 4 single crochets into the magic ring. Now for round 2, we are going to do 4 increases. For round 3, we are going to do single crochet increase times by 4, which will take us up to 12 stitches. Now from rounds 4 to 5, we are just going to single crochet around. For round 6, we're going to do single crochet decrease times by 4. So now we're going to leave a bit of a tail for sewing. And we're going to pull through. And now we can move on to the assembly. So the first 2 things that we're going to sew together are the shell and the head. So the head will be sewed onto the part where we did the color change here. So you can see that this is obviously the back, whereas it's smooth around the front. So the head is going to be covering that part. So we'll just be sewing it on so it sits like this. So we're going to grab our yarn needle. And we want the middle of the head to be positioned around where this is. So we're just going to sew straight into that first of all. And we're just going to make sure the eyes are the right way up. And once they are, we can go back into the head. And basically the idea is that we're going to keep going in and out of the head and the body until the head is like firmly attached to the body. So we'll be going across many stitches of the head and into many stitches of the body to make sure that this is attached securely. So once you are happy with how securely the head is sewn on, we are just going to bring the tail over here to another part of the body. And then we'll just put it back into the body and take it to the top of the shell. And now we can cut this tail off. So this is what it looks like when the head has been sewed on. So now we are just going to sew on the tail before we sew on the fins so that we can get the positioning of the fins right really easily. So the tail is going to be sewed on right here so that it just sticks out a little bit from the top. So we're going to sew it into about here. So at the back of the body, so opposite the head. So I'm just going to put my needle into about here because that's where I want to sew it in. And then I'll just go into the other side of the tail. And we'll just keep sewing that down so that it firmly stays on the body. So once we are happy with how that is sewed on, we will just bring the tail through to a random point in the body. And we can just cut that off. So this is what it looks like from the top currently. So now we are going to move on to sew the fins on. So now we are going to sew on the fins. So when we sew on the fins, we want to make sure that this side is facing upwards, so the side that we did the single crochets into. So you can sort of tell the difference that this is the side we want to be facing upwards and this is the side that we want to face downwards. So yes, make sure that you are sewing your fins on so that they are facing upwards. But also you want to make sure that the curved edges are facing towards the front. So when we sew the fins on, we want to make sure that all of the curved edges are facing towards the front. So you'll notice that 2 of these, we will have to bring the tail through to the other side so that the correct way is facing upwards. So the 2 that will be on the left side of the body, we're just going to bring the tail through to this side. So I'm just going to bring it through. You should be able to just bring it straight through the middle. You might have accidentally tucked this end in a bit in the process of bringing it to the other side, so you can just use a yarn needle to poke it outwards again. So just like this. So now we've done this one, so we just need to do this one as well. I'll just bring it through to the other side. And then we'll just poke this edge out to make sure that it looks normal. So now, as you can see, those 2 will be for that side and these 2 will be for this side. So I'm just going to begin with this fin. So we're going to flip our turtle upside down. And we're going to start by making sure that when we sew it on, the good side will be facing the other way and the curved side will be facing the head. So I'm going to want to sew mine on about there. So I'm going to look at that point. And that's where I'm going to first sew into. So now we've sort of got an idea of where we want the fin to be. We're going to sew in and out of the fin and the body multiple times. And we're going to make sure that that fin is really secure because we don't want them to be falling off. I'm also just going to check on how it's looking from the front, and it's looking great from the top, so we'll flip it back over and continue sewing. So once we are super happy with how we've sewed it on, I'm just going to bring the tail to the middle of the body. And later on, I'm just going to tie it to another one of the tails from the fins. So I'll just make it a little bit shorter. So now we're going to sew on the one that goes on the opposite side at the top. So we're going to flip that over, and I want to go into about here. So we're going to grab our yarn needle, and we're going to go into that spot there. And we're going to sew back into the fin, then back into the same spot. And then we're just going to keep doing what we did before, make sure it is secure, and then we'll bring the tail to the same point as we brought the other tail to. So once you've brought the two tails to the same point, we will just double knot them together, and then we will tuck both of the tails into the body. So this is what the turtle looks like from the top so far. So now we only have the bottom fins left to sew on. So I'm going to grab the one that goes on this side, and this is how I want it to be positioned. So I'm going to flip it upside down, and I'm going to sew it into there. And we're basically going to do the exact same thing that we did on the other one, and we'll just keep sewing it until we think it is secure. And then we'll bring the tail to a spot in the center of the body. And now we are going to sew the final one on and bring the tail to the middle once again. So we've just tied those two tails together and tucked them inside. This is what it looks like from the bottom. And now if we flip it over, this is what our turtle looks like from the top and also from the side. This is the completed turtle. I really hope that you enjoyed crocheting your turtle. This is perfect for markets or a gift to your friends. and he's very chubby. The written pattern is available on Etsy, and you can find that in the link in the description. And if you did enjoy this tutorial, then please make sure to leave it a thumbs up or subscribe to me. It really helps my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye!